Right now, autism is typically diagnosed between 3 to 4 years old, but experts say it can be diagnosed as early as 12 months old in some kids. And research shows the earlier treatment starts, the better the result. So what are the symptoms of autism? What are we looking for? Here are some signs to keep in mind.
They weren't smiling when they were supposed to, or cooing. They couldn't take a bottle very well, couldn't breastfeed.
By the time children are 8 to 10 to 12 months, they're actually quite social. And they're playing games like peekaboo, or when you go up to them and you hold your hands out like this, they raise up and they're ready to get picked up.
Lacking eye contact is something that's a major thing.
He wasn't sitting up. He was very, very late to walk. He never pointed, and he was very, very late to speak.
She has a cousin who is a month younger. When we saw him at that Christmas, there was this huge difference. He was pointing and gesturing and talking, like showing people things that he liked, and she was doing none of that.
He didn't respond to his name. Typically you call a 2-year-old by their name and they respond.
He could count way beyond 100, at 20 months old, and just memorize things, but yet he couldn't look us in the eye and tell us anything.
We were waiting and waiting, thinking, oh, one day, he was just going to start speaking.
She will hug other kids and play maybe near them, but not necessarily interact with them.
About the first 6 months, he developed normally. He was sitting up on time, rolling over on time, and by about a year old, all of the mama, dada, all those things had disappeared, and we were noticing he didn't like to be held.
Do people with autism gain skills and then lose them? And the answer to that is about half do. Now, why that happens, we don't really know.
He would run around the house with his hand like this, what we call the hand dance, I think, and he would go, ah, like that. And he would run laps around the house like that.
If we said, how are you doing today, Kevin? His response would be, how are you doing today, Kevin?
Young children might line up toys or organize things a certain way.
If you have a child that's not socially responsive, when you hold your hands up or when you point, they just don't respond. They don't look at your face, and their speech is a little delayed. Now you have a collection of symptoms that have clustered together, and you say, "Ooh, we got to pay attention to this."
The diagnosis process is tricky. There's no blood test or brain scan to determine autism. That's where Easter Seals comes in.
First, parents can call Easter Seals for a free developmental screening. If further testing is warranted, the child will be referred for a more in-depth evaluation. If a developmental delay is discovered, treatment can begin immediately. Easter Seals offers physical, occupational, speech, and developmental therapy. If autism is suspected, the child will be put on a waiting list for Easter Seals Diagnostic Clinic. The child will be evaluated by several experts, including a psychologist and a pediatrician.
Steve, if the kids are already getting the treatment that they need, why do they need that label, that diagnosis of autism?
The diagnosis really helps a family gain a clearer sense of direction for the future and often provides better access to additional services and supports. But most importantly, I think it helps a family to prepare their child for an appropriate school placement.
And right now, the diagnosis can take several months. Is there any hope of getting that speeded up in the near future?
The waiting list is currently several months, as you point out, and because it's difficult to predict the growing demand for diagnostic services, I think families can expect to see that 2-month to 3-month wait going forward. Watching this program, you may find yourself having questions about autism, how to schedule your child for a free screening, or you may simply be wondering, how can I help? Just call Easter Seals at the number posted on your screen, and we will give you all the information you need.